Okay, welcome everybody. This is the annual meeting of the Canandaigua Farmington Water District. It's 7 o'clock, so we can start. We may have a couple individuals sign on and from town of Canandaigua. We could just go around the room. We'll start in the back over here with Tim and then Jim and Bill, and just so the town clerk has the names.
Jared Simpson, Supervisor, Canandaigua.
Sharon Jermaine, town board member. Analyze it off, town board member, Canandaigua.
Gregory Hoteling, MRB.
Bill Davis with MRB Group.
Nate Bowerman, Farmington.
Ron Yearney, Farmington.
Pete Inglesby, Supervisor, Farmington.
South Farmington.
Steve Holtz, Farmington.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. So the first thing, we do have a couple extra copies if you don't have them up here. The agenda. And the first thing we'll do is go over the budget memo, and then Dave and I will split the handout. Followed by the other pages we have here.
Somebody's called it out.
Whoever's calling in, can you identify yourself, please, for the record?
Hi, Doug Finch here. Sorry, I was just having trouble connecting there.
Welcome, Doug. Okay, and for this annual meeting, the water budget is 4.5 million and some change, up 718,000 from last year. The budget is scheduled to use $104,234 of fund balance. Major expenses, as you would expect: wages, 588,000, health insurance, 165,000 plus. Source of supply, what we pay the city of Canandaigua, $1,407,500. Equipment, $134,500. Water meters, 65,000 and 450,000 for capital projects and a building reserve. Estimated water revenues of the meter sales will increase 322,000. Most of that is because we got notified by the city of Canandaigua that our wholesale rate is going to go up. And the estimated real property tax will increase approximately $27,246, or 1.5 cents per thousand for Farmington and 3.5 cents per thousand for Canandaigua. That's driven by the assessment values. And neither town is at full assessment for this year. As I mentioned earlier, the city of Canandaigua notified us of a water increase by approximately 14%. This will definitely cause a water usage rate increase for 2023. Dave, for next handout, Dave has completed some of the water projects and what we propose for 2023. Dave?
So reviewing our 2022 projects, the water line replacement phase 1 at Route 96 in Hortensia is complete just north of the apartments. Brickyard water tank replacement project with bids coming in at $4 million. We estimate the project is put on hold. We should agree tonight's meeting to move forward with a rebid if MRB can confirm that our IMG grant of $3.6 million can be extended from the time schedule once the award is made. The balance that will have to be bonded is approximately $8.4 million.
Yeah, I can comment on that. So the original grant agreement was signed December 5th in 2019. It will expire currently as is December 5th in 2024. We estimated the project construction timeframe to be anywhere between 18 to 24 months, which means we'd want to award anytime between December and June of next year, obviously sooner the better. We have not reached out to EFC as of this date, only because I'm sure they'll be asking about the status of the project and what the both townships want to do. Once we have an answer to that, I would suggest we can reach out, we can see if they will grant an extension. And we can confirm some timeframes on construction. Difficulty nowadays just being the lead time on steel and everything. All I could advise is that if we want to do the project, we want to start it as soon as possible.
Right. That's why Brickyard Road's on the agenda. Thank you, Bill.
North Road 2 phases are remaining, 3,000 lineal feet. Bid in the early winter of 2022, $300,000 from 2022 budget and $300,000 is needed from the 2023 budget. One project is to design the water line on County Road 8 from New York State Route 332 going north to New York State Route 96. Hook Road water line goes under the New York State Thruway, is currently isolated, has been isolated for quite some time. The line was spray lined this summer and we still have a leak. We cannot hold pressure on that line. And the spray lining contractor will be back to investigate the cause of that leak. New York State Route 332 and 96 water main replacement was a total of $1.2 million. The boring and pipe installation is completed going under Route 332 and Route 96. We still have the two connections at the southeast corner to complete, and then testing and disinfection will be performed to put that line in service. Phase 3 of the Canandaigua Farmington Town Line Road, 1,100 feet of 12-inch ER14 potable water line was installed by our crews, and that has been pressure tested and will most likely be disinfected tomorrow. Our crews continue valve maintenance, fire hydrant flushing, painting, maintenance in the northwest and southwest quadrants of the Canandaigua Farmington Water District. We are continuing the replacement of the old Badger Itron water meter endpoints due to the 15-year battery life expectancy. Some of these are dying in the field as we speak. And research is continuing with both Badger and Neptune for suitable solution to this problem. The town board has decided to purchase multi-link, MuniLink billing software to replace our current BAS billing software. This would solve a lot of problems for us. And a list of what was installed during the year in 2022 would be Monarch Manor 2 was 1,340 lineal feet of water line. GLN Farmington was 1,130 feet lineal feet. Those at Hathaway was 1,450 lineal feet. Auburn Meadowgate South was 1,220 lineal feet, and Reliant FCU was 350 lineal feet. That's all I have.
Yep, and the future, thanks, Dave. The future projects 23 and beyond. In the budget is Mertensa Road North from where we stopped at the apartments to Elizabeth Way. And then using some ARPA funds, additional work at Colette and 332, 188,000. North Road water line, as David mentioned earlier, there's 300,000 in the 2022 budget for a capital project and 300,000 in the 2023 budget for North Road water line. Cranberry Drive, Farmbrook, 125,000. Still going to try and do a meter pit on County Road 8 with Wayne County, 55,000. And then obviously look at rebid Brickyard Road tank and transmission line. Beyond 2023, we want to continue to do Yerkes Road We can do replace in kind as long as we do less than 1,000 feet on a section with town forces. Want to finish the balance of Mertensia and Colette 332 area. County Road 8, and there's a proposal tonight that I had sent out for multiple phases for that project. There is money in the 2022 budget to design probably a third to a half of the project. And then Dalton Drive is in Farmbrook, and that would have to be done in multiple phases also. Any questions at this point? Okay,
That Doug again? Yeah.
Hi, do we have a second person online now with an iPhone? You're currently on mute. You already got an iPhone?
He does, but it's not there.
Yeah.
Doug said he was having a connection problem.
Oh, Doug's in the Galaxy. Okay, well, we'll move on. The next 3 pages on the handout were, line by line budget. Obviously, the source of supply is going to be up what we pay for water. Engineering, we did add another additional 60,000 over the 2022 budget in the budget. And on the band line, about 2/3 of the way down, band interest. So there is 400,000 in there for the Brickyard Road project. We start having to pay for that project. And again, on the metered sales will go up because of what we'll be charging more. And we did pretty well on receipts this year, so I also raised it up a few percentage points too. You just never know with water sales. Get a dry year, you sell a lot of water. If you get a wet year, you don't necessarily sell a lot of water. And again, on $104,234 projected to use in the fund balance for 2023. The next sheet is the breakout for the apportionment of Farmington, Canandaigua, and the other districts that still have debt. So I wanted to just cover it. There's Emerson, Allen, and Hopewell Town Line Road. Those debts are paid off in 2033. Fox Road is 2024. Ellsworth Road is 2025. And Sheldon is 2027. So as like Fox Road's the first to go. So as that 10,000,006 assessment, when they pay that off, then it rolls into the total assessment for Farmington in the future. And that's what happened when this past year, North and Andrews was paid off. Any questions? All right, the next one is the five-year capital improvement plan for the water projects. In 2022, we had 125,000 in the budget for Mertensia and another 150 planned for 2023 for Mertensia Road to continue that. In 2022, you see the 1.1 million there. There was 680,000 in the 2022 budget. The balance was ARPA funds. Next one, 188,000. That's ARPA funds for Colette and 332 in 2023. Next line down, same thing, another 188,000 in 2024 for 332 intersection with Colette. Next line is Hook Road under the Thruway. That was this year. at 85,000. And as Dave said, we still have the contractor coming back. Take another look because we have a small leak. North Road, as we mentioned earlier, approximately 2,900 feet of 8-inch pipe. So there was 300,000 put in the 2022 budget, 300,000 in the 23 budget so that we could get that started here in late winter, early spring. Next, skip down 2 lines, County Road 8 estimate and 332 north to 96. That was this year. That's the engineering to help start the design for County Road 8 going 332 north. And then the next 2 lines are phase 1 and 2. 2024, 315,000, 2025, 300,000 for County Road 8. Phase 2, 200,000 and 300,000 in 26 and 27. We got numbers late today from MRB. If we go all the way to 96 from 332 north to 96 on County Road 8, it will probably be a 10-year project. So I think if you add that up real quick, it's like 1.2 million. And then in the 2027 column, I only put 300,000 in there. You know, normally we're around 700 to 800,000. So if we don't find anything in 2027 else, a lot of that could be in the County Road 8, expand that project going further north. 2023, have a small project in Farmbrook for Cranberry Drive. Dalton is a $800,000 estimate 2 years ago. So I got 24, 25, and 26 where we set money aside for that project. Yerkes Road, again, we can do some of that piecemeal, but in 2026, I put another 250,000 in there to try and finish it by then, hopefully. I mentioned earlier about a meter pit connection with Wayne County. It's in the 23 budget. And then additional meter pits in 24 and 25. We keep pushing them out. And so it probably will happen again just because we find other places to put the money. Any questions on the 5-year plan? All right, so any overall questions on the 2023 water budget? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2023 water budget.
So move.
Motion by Nate, second by Ally. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. You pass.
So did you get Terry online?
Must be Terry.
Yeah.
All right, so next thing on the agenda is the Brickyard Road tank and transmission line rebid. I know Town of Canandaigua did a study and they've kind of agreed and met with us that they would like to continue that bid. Obviously, MRB's got to look a little bit at the Department of Health and for what other changes we're going to make from the last bid. Let everybody know the phone call Dave Herman got today from the tank company.
Oh, yeah, actually about a week ago, it's, we had worked with a company called CBI, the original bid, fairly closely to the design, and they did not bid the project. At that time, they just said they had too much other work come through at the last minute, and they called the other day, asking about the status of the project, so that was interesting. It sounds like now they're once again looking for work, so. There are a few decisions for the two towns to make when we get ready to rebid. We had some interior finishes and things in there to make it heated space in the tank shaft, be able to use it as usable space. So we'll just have to decide whether we want to continue to bid it the same or whether we want to try to tear that down.
Yeah, Bill, and then other things, we can back out is part of that project had the 12-inch water line on Town Line Road as part of the contractors going to do that project. And then between the town of Canandaigua and town of Farmington, we got that pipe in this year. So that portion we can back out of the bid because it's already done.
Yeah.
There's still, I mean, check real close. Just, you know, the capital project, we started with 1.7 million, I think it was, and or 1.77. Yeah, 1,077,000, almost 78,000 in the capital project, and paying the engineering costs and all that to date, and taking out the money for the pipe we put in on Town Line Road that would have been part of the bid. There's still 347,000 and change in the capital project. As I mentioned with the tax rate on the budget we just approved, that does include 400,000 towards the ban interest. We reached out to the bonding company to get updated rates, but they didn't get back to us in time for this meeting. So even the sheets we had, a 20-year maturity rate, we were going to talk $599,000 in total debt service for the first year, and it goes down from there. And for a 25-year rate at again 2.5% notes, 3.75% bonds, a 25-year would be like 528,000 for the first year, and go down a little bit in the previous year. So we have 400,000 in that budget, so we only have to bump it between 24 and 25 budget. We only have to bump it about 200,000 to pay the whole debt payment per year. It'll be another increase to the tax rate, but we'll know more when we get the current flavor. Those figures were on figuring $8 million to fund and bond. It's about the same. We're looking at like 8.3 million. As soon as the bonding company gets back to us, we'll share that information with everybody. Any other thoughts on the Brickyard Road project this time? Anybody on the line have a comment?
No. Pete, this is Terry. I have to apologize. I joined you guys late. I just got back in here tonight from Virginia. Have you guys at all discussed a project that was suggested by the Canandaigua LDC regarding a more comprehensive study of, water, from the lake to the farthest out user? Has that come up at all yet tonight, or?
Yeah, it has not. Bill Davis and I had a discussion with Dave Conti and help me out here. The water, Marty Amon from Wayne County, and Kevin Lake from Manchester, the water superintendent over in Manchester. We just had some brief discussion today that we should have a united front with all the users that purchase from the city of Canandaigua.
Right.
And ask them to not only look at how do we get more capacity into the Canandaigua Farmington Water District, but the bigger thing is that there's a lot of the districts that have now been served by the Department of Health because our TTHMs are up.
Right.
And so we need to have the city of Canandaigua working with all of us on that also. So
Yeah.
MRB had said they would design a letter and then share it with all of us that we would send to the city of Canandaigua and get the supervisors from the towns to sign that letter and get the ball rolling with the city to try and figure out not only the TTHM, but how do we get additional water into the district? And it was brought to my attention that Bill's going to touch base back in his office. Matt Horn was part of the LDC, and Bill will talk with him on that discussion and everything, and see if maybe they can do a separate proposal to the LDC for the water volume project that would be needed in Uptown. And we'll continue to attack the TTHM problem as a group with all the customers that buy from the city.
Well, I had suggested to the LDC at our last meeting, Matt couldn't be there that day, but I'd asked the LDC, the board of directors, since we have three major thrusts. One is infrastructure, which includes water, sewer, gas, electric, everything. And it's one of our major efforts that we're looking at to make sure that for the future, not just for the Uptown area, but for, the growth needs in Farmington, the growth needs in Manchester, whoever is getting water that comes from that lake through our town to the other towns, we'd like to, convene some kind of roundtable to get all the ideas out on the table for what the potential future volume could be. The city is faced right now with some major capital investment in the water treatment facility on Westlake Road. And we haven't really seen the entire list of what, being looked at for that. But in conversations with Kevin Mulvaney and others, we have come to the conclusion that we really need to get everybody that's involved in the process together so you can share the ideas of what's going to be needed in the future, so that, the city and their efforts to, upgrade the facility, takes all of that into account. So, and Matt said that he would pull that together and organize some kind of, discussion around that entire effort. I'd asked the LDC if they would be willing to, fund, some of this effort, and everybody agreed, since it is one of our major concerns with, future development throughout our area. So that's just a little history on how it all came about. So
Yeah,
we'll be hearing more in the future, I'm sure.
I appreciate that, Terry. Good update. And so the LDC be willing to fund some of the engineering costs
Yes,
for the study.
yes.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else got?
To add to the THM comments, one thing for everybody to just keep in mind is that part of this correspondence with the city would be to document to the Department of Health, that we are putting forth efforts to try to make sure that the city is moving forward and get a response from them, that they're being reactive to the situation.
Very good. Terry, thank you for your comments. Anybody else? All right, maybe we'll have another meeting in the near future on Brickyard Road when we find out some of the interest rates and discuss some of the changes we might be able to make to reduce the overall costs. Those who don't know, that we were expecting a $9 million bid and it came in at 13 million. It was $4 million increase on a water tank and a transmission line to from the Brickyard Road tank to Town Line Road. Ally,
I have a quick question.
yes,
Do we have to have that completed by December 5th of 24 to get the ING grant?
Yes.
Has to be completed.
So currently, the grant agreement, and typically how the VIA grants work, you get part of the money up front, and you get the rest of the money when the project is complete. The way the grant agreement is, I can scan it quickly tonight, just kind of be prepared to answer some questions. You would have to be closed out by that deadline for 2024, or you would forfeit what money has not yet been dispersed. Which would be a big chunk of that, $3 million. In everybody's interest in having the project completed.
Especially with materials taking so long to do that.
Yeah, that's, I mean, even when we did the thing the first time, we had cost per extension. Ability for them to get materials. What if we longer? 2 years, to see how things would go and understand that the bond rate would change to
I'm sure we'll probably have to do it all over again.
we look at the overall project cost, we bids, we should have date and updates on steel prices from when we did it the first time. Make sure that the bond is efficient enough so that we don't have to go back again to do that. And as soon as we did, the contractor, tank manufacturers, they're not gonna hold their bid nowadays for very long. Not at all. So you want to be ready for more, and so you want all that stuff in place.
Bill, based on your experience, or maybe Greg, do you think there isn't a chance that we could extend the time frame on that grant once we're into the construction process?
Ever asked for an extension before, right? I don't think that's ever happened before, but
Could certainly reach out tomorrow,
yeah.
you know, and pose the question.
Yes, say we're going to try and get it done in 2 years, but we don't know the delivery schedule of steel.
Bonding 5 years, that can't. This is grant. You haven't actually started borrowing and yet on the project, you haven't started that.
Right.
What is? Bill, what is your guys' turnaround time on getting everything ready to rebid?
Well, depending on the changes we want to make, I mean, honestly, probably within a month, month and a half. we could have this rebid. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but agree with that?
Saw a little bit of sweat on Greg.
A month and a half might be a little bit, I mean,
It's sweat.
Jim had asked some of the questions, and I think Bill kind of elaborated a little bit about like potential changes. There are some things to the project we could pair out, depending upon what the direction is from the boards. And then, we had talked about, realigning how we have some of the site work done on the tank site, because the tank contractors themselves, they need a sub to do the site work. And the way we had bid it last time, there was some pretty complicated or a lot of site work relative to the tank project. And they contacted small site guys to do the work. So our intent is to shift more of that work into the transmission contract to lighten the load. And then I think timing of the bids, instead of bidding everything at the same time, I think I want to go through and bid the transmission main work first, and then bid the tank like maybe a week later. That would allow the tank guys to then solicit the GCs, whoever's the low bidder on the transmission, to do their site work. Because it normally, like CBI wouldn't be able to get like a Ransco to come do their site work, because Ransco doesn't want to be beholden to the tank guy's schedule. But they might actually come together if they knew that they were both going to be on the site together at the same time. You know, because if you bid them at the same time, no one knows who's the low bidder, right?
Right.
So that's one thing that we're talking about to try to mitigate some of the costs. I think we can go through that effort to try to bring the cost down as best we can, or at least, try to keep us more or less the same cost by trying to reduce the cost. Yeah, try to value it. But some of the other things that we have to change, I think is relative to, getting across the property to Town Line Road, those particular easements, and what that would more likely require is an expansion of what we had originally planned for was putting in a stone base for the Auburn Trail, but I think instead of that, which might allow us to get across that property with a little less friction, might be to expand that to do the road base for the future road. So instead of having a 12-foot wide stone base, you'd have, whatever, 26 or 28-foot wide road base to run across that site. So part of that would be, we kind of have to design a little bit of the road to understand what the, profile is supposed to look like through that corridor to set that. So that there's definitely some steps that we have to take to get there. I know Doug's on the line. I'm pretty sure, like, Doug, is that generally your, gist of talking with the home, property owner? Not sure.
Yeah, it is. In terms of the roadway base, and it was kind of hard to hear some of the words were cutting in and out, but essentially putting in that road, the stone base there, combination trail base, etc. I think they'll be very receptive to that. Plus, also, it should be noted, we're also in the process currently of doing a traffic analysis. We've hired a firm, we released an RFP and did analysis, and that should be coming in within the next 30 days. That really, we believe, will help us align for some grant funding for the construction of that roadway.
Right, so I'm just gonna ask the question, you don't expect the Canandaigua Farmington Water District to pay the gravel road base, pay for it?
Not necessarily, no. Just in alignment as we're doing all of this. Some of the details we just need to work out.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
I guess just before we're under a time crunch. We've been under a time crunch to get this done.
Can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Sorry, I'm leaning back. Obviously, we're under a little bit of a time crunch. We have been for a while now because we've got this over $3 million hanging out there that we don't want to lose. It sounds like Town of Canandaigua has some stuff they're waiting to get back before they're willing to make a commitment to move forward with this, or
No,
I guess where are we on?
willing to make forward. We just want to make sure that going forward, we know all the parts as far as the have that water use study for the uptown area. The road, in my mind, it's gonna, the extra road we're putting in is a separate issue. It's gonna have to happen anyway. But it's not something that we're waiting for on that line. So I think we understand and know that it's gonna happen. That we need to move forward with the project.
Well, why don't we let the engineers take a look at everything, and then maybe we'll have a public works meeting between the two towns and see if we can get it in December, January bid time. Maybe January.
Yeah, we want to schedule as soon as we can. And I'm assuming between the two town boards, you'd like to see updated project budget, cash flow, typically we would update that. Any potential changes that we could make to provide some savings? Is there anything else, Pete or anybody that you want to see for that workshop?
And by that time, we'll have the latest interest rates for 20-25 year, 30-year bond, so we'll know that cost also.
And if we get an answer from PFC anytime, as soon as we do, we will distributed to everybody so that you know what the answer is from them, which is important.
Yes.
That's definitely,
Schedule is gonna be probably the biggest.
I think we're gonna want to schedule before we talk, right?
Whether they give us an extension for the grant.
yeah, that's the biggest thing is if we're running longer than 2 years. Can we get an extension?
I think too, we need to know, and this is separate from the water, this would be a separate item. I know we've kicked it around, we've talked about it, but more of a concrete estimate, a concrete engineering report for the road, what that would look like. We need to see, Jim, I don't know how much we're thinking about doing that as well, but that price, it's not part of the project, but it has to happen to be able to transmit the water line go through there. But we also need to know what we would be responsible for as part of this, because this is an issue that we've had hanging out there for years.
All right, one last thing is I sent back in September and then I sent it out again this morning and not everybody might have seen, well, it was noontime before I sent it out again. We did have a proposal from MRB for the phases 4 and 5 of North Road. Design contract documents, the bidding portion, and some construction administration and construction observation. I did put in the email that we do have those funds in the 2022 budget. But our town board in Farmington wanted candidate would just be able to look at it and give our blessing, and we'll, there's no problems with that. We'll approve it at our town board meeting next Wednesday night. Okay. One last thing going around. Anybody online? Anything else?
Oh, not this time.
Supervisor Doug Finch here. Just real quick. I know everybody's concerned about the $3 million WIA grant. I was on a call today with some of the state officials from Empire State Development, and they were sharing that there's going to be new guidance coming out even in the next couple of weeks relative to funding for infrastructure projects when you can relate it to jobs. And so while I know we're concerned about the WIA money, maybe there's some additional grant money that may help go with this project. So I fully support your comment that you made about maybe getting the two public works committees together, because there might be some other opportunities that might help us actually bond less money or borrow less money. So just a combination of things, a lot of different moving pieces still, I realize in the process, but sounds like there's some additional money that's going to be coming out relatively quickly.
Good.
Music to my ears. All right. Nothing else? Like a motion to adjourn? Motion and a second by Jared. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for attending.